Hi again, and welcome to Knit With Us with the Codependent Knitters. This is Lisa.
This is my friend Dawn.
And we are in Sarnia, Ontario. And if you're just joining us, we have a regular podcast on YouTube where we talk about what we're currently knitting and all things about knitting. And then this is just a Knit With Us video. So we're just going to knit and chit chat, and you can knit along. And it's kind of like having a virtual get together. So, we have a lot of questions that were posted on the previous Knit With Us and on some of our previous podcasts. So we'll answer some of those questions today. And then just, I think we'll just start with just a little bit of casual chit chat to get us warmed up.
Get us warmed up. Yeah. Get us going.
I thought we could talk about travel knitting because you have just recently traveled and I'm going to be going on vacation soon.
I did.
And so you went to Mexico.
Yep. The family all went to Mexico. Really nice. You can tell by my tan. Those of you that know me know I don't tan. I get really bright red. But
you do have a bit of color.
I have a bit, but not much.
So you took knitting on the plane.
I took knitting on the plane, but I made arrangements that they were bamboo needles that I didn't care about in case, because I had my needles taken away when I went to Cuba. Mm-hmm. So basically with the bamboo needles, all I needed to do was break the tips off, and I still had my project on a cord.
Yeah.
So that was okay. And but they didn't take them. They didn't take them here. They didn't take them coming back. So it was all good.
Mm-hmm. And do you took extra projects in your suitcase?
I did.
Checked baggage
yes.
as well.
Yeah. I had.
You just took something little for airplane.
I did.
Socks.
I took socks. Did socks on the plane. Lady next to me was kind of enthralled with that. She thought that was kind of cool.
There's a pattern.
Two at a time.
There's a pattern called socks on a plane.
Yeah.
Which I think I'm gonna knit when we go away.
Is it plain socks?
It has a little cable that runs right down the side of the leg and down to the foot.
Okay, I know which one it is now.
Yeah, so I think I might take that for the airplane knitting because it's kind of appropriate.
Nice. And then I brought this along with me. It's
your
boxy that I have to do for my mom.
So it's the boxy sweater by Hoki Locatelli. And just as a recap,
fingering weight.
Yeah, you're doing it in fingering weight.
Yes.
There is a worsted version of the
So.
pattern. Because this is a Knit With Us video, there will be minimal editing and we're not going to be putting stuff up on the screen. We will try and get some notes done after and put in our Ravelry group. But these are things that we talk about on our regular podcast anyways. So, you certainly will see the information at some point again in the future and possibly even on previous episodes where we do put info up on the screen.
Yeah.
So when you went to Cuba, which was last year, you were fine going to, and you flew out of...
I flew out of Toronto.
Toronto
International. And actually this time I told the guys that I have knitting needles in there, and he says, yeah, you're allowed knitting needles. And that was out of Toronto.
Okay.
So,
But coming home,
it's the choice of the country you're leaving.
Yeah.
So,
so you've gone to Cuba before and had no problems.
I've gone to Cuba and I had no problems, but the last time I had a problem and she took them from me. So basically I had to rip the sweater off the needles and hand me the needles. Because they were
fixed needles?
Because they were fixed needles and they were metal, so I couldn't have broken them.
Okay.
But she let my mom go right behind me with the exact same needles in her bag.
Yeah.
Guess they look a little crazier than mom.
She just wanted, but so this was interesting. So when she was taking the needles away from you, you said you bent them.
Yeah.
So if you, I like to believe in the good in people, but if there was someone,
you know what? It's just one of those things where she was going to throw them in the garbage, so
no one's going to use them. Yeah.
So yeah, I just bent them.
Yeah. We forgot to say what we're doing.
I was hoping that they would break.
Yeah.
And I could keep the cord.
Yeah. So that's a good tip. Like just in case you should ever have to have something taken away, then interchangeables would be an option because worst case you just have to lose the tips.
Yeah. And the only problem is interchangeables don't come small enough in most situations unless you get a more expensive
especially if you're doing socks.
Right. If you're doing socks. So
and then they're really I don't know if I'd want to take those anyways just in case. Mm-hmm. Okay. Good point. So there's always that possibility.
You always have to bear in mind that if they ask for your knitting needles, you pretty much have to give them up.
Yeah.
But
you've only had that problem in Cuba.
I've only had that problem
one trip to Cuba.
One trip. Okay. Once and I've been to Cuba, a couple times. And
so should we talk
Dominican
about what we're...
And
we will say what we're knitting. I'm working on my Knit Sister tube scarf, which is a pattern by Adrian Sauter of the Fiber Friends podcast. And I'm using a lot of Adrian's MCN yarn. Most of the solids are from her collection because she did a kit for us for Christmas, which you will see on a previous episode, so we won't go into a lot of detail on that. I have thrown in a few of my little mini skeins, speckles here and there for interest. And today we've already said you're knitting on Boxy.
Yep.
Okay. So I just thought we didn't even cover what we're knitting on.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be going soon. We'll be going to Vegas. So it's just in the United States. We've flown many times. We've gone to Florida. I've never had a problem with knitting on the plane.
No, and you know what? I was shocked because I've never had a problem with it.
Yeah.
Never. And she kind of, okay.
Yeah. So, but I always take extra needles in checked baggage.
Yeah, I always have an extra project in checked baggage because, I mean, there's nothing worse if something happens, you have no needles and...
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, look, I finished another ball.
I gotta start with the right... I'm just changing colors here, so I have to think for a moment. Okay, there. So this is one thing. I'm going to be going to Las Vegas for a week. So if anyone has advice on places where I can go that are knit related, the only yarn shop I've been able to find out about is the Sin City Knit Shop or Sin City Yarn Shop. So I'm following them on Instagram and Facebook and hope to get to that store. For most of the trip, I won't have use of a vehicle of my own. So we won't be venturing out too much, but there will be a couple days where I'll be able to be driven there. So I hope to go there and check that out. I tried searching for indie yarn dyers in Las Vegas and nothing really came up. So if anyone knows of anything, especially if anyone that might have a shop where you can go see their yarn, if they're, if it's a home studio or whatever, leave a comment below and let me know, just so I can make sure I check that out. Because I would, if I'm there, why not, right?
No, exactly.
And that'll be my souvenir if I can find a skein of yarn, especially if it's like locally dyed, then that would be even better. So I do plan on going there. Yeah, and that's we don't have any other international travel plans coming up anytime soon.
Not anytime soon.
Yeah. Now, if I might not take a sock on the plane. I have before though, and I usually use metal needles. Oh, I'll take my DPNs. Maybe I'll do that. I'll do it on DPNs because they're wood. And then if something should happen, although you know what, my cubic DPNs, if I have to replace them, if they get taken away ever, they're probably about the same price as, so I just don't want to, I think you're safer with wood.
I just went in and bought cheap needles.
Yeah. Okay.
It lasted me till I got there, then I used my other needles and I switched back.
Does it affect your gauge?
No.
I've never switched mid-project, so I don't know. Okay.
No.
So yeah, we just wanted to do a little update on travel knitting.
Do you want to do answer some of the questions?
Yeah. So we had a bunch of questions over the last few podcasts, and some of them were on the podcast where we were asking you to comment to win for our subscriber giveaway. So we didn't reply to a lot of those initially. So I went through them again just to see if there were some, and some we did reply to, but not everyone would see the replies if you weren't, if you didn't read through all the comments. So we're going to go through some of the questions, and some were just comments that we want to expand on a little bit. And it'll give us something to chat about.
Okay, perfect.
So the first one I wrote down, and these are in no particular order. Well, I was scrolling through them, but whatever. Okay, they're kind of they're not in any important order. So Joy K had asked, what was our favorite basic hat pattern?
Wow.
You've knit a lot more hats than me.
I like the sock head pattern. That is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because those indie dyers, you can do something instead of socks. Sugar Maple's another one that's a good fit.
Yeah.
And I love...
Sugar Maple's a basic hat, right? Like there's
there's no design
cables or anything.
And then I think there's one by Amy Miller that I like called Snatch. Or it's like a waffle.
Okay.
It's really kind of cool. I like that one too.
Okay. You can look that up and I'll talk.
I am looking that one up.
Okay.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I like the sock head because, like Lisa said, it's fingering weight yarn. So if you have like a nice skein of yarn from an indie dyer and you maybe it's, what am I trying to say here? You can
Maybe
use
it's
anything
you
for
don't
it,
wanna
right?
hide
Or
it,
if it's
right?
variegated or you're not sure, you can use striping, you can use not striping. And you can make it slouchy or not slouchy, which is also kind of nice. And I was looking on Ravelry, and Bud has a pattern called Basic Hat Pattern.
That's actually in her book.
Yeah, and it's another good one. Cat fight. Ginge, out. So,
And we're back.
And we're back. There's the Kit Kat hat by Andre Sue, and you don't have to make it in hot pink and make it a statement hat. It's just actually a really cute hat with little kitty cat ears that doesn't have to be political. You can knit it in whatever you want, and it's a cute and very easy hat pattern.
Yep.
The Pearl Soho has one called the Classic Cuffed Hat. Actually, Pearl Soho has a lot of very good, basic, easy patterns. Like, they're not all like they're
They have beautiful.
They have nice patterns.
Beautiful patterns, and the beautiful yarn as well.
Yeah.
And I will say I've ordered from them, and they're amazing. Delivery, it comes all pretty wrapped and everything.
Yeah, but they have a lot of beautiful
patterns,
simple, just classic design.
Even their sewing patterns.
Yeah,
it's quite the
So it's Pearl,
website to check
P-U-R-L, Pearl Soho, and that's after there's a yarn shop in New York called Pearl Soho.
Yeah.
And another way, if you're ever looking for something, if you search on Ravelry, just a quick Ravelry tip, when you search, so you can go to the pattern page on Ravelry, and in the search box, I just typed in basic hat, or even just hat. When it gives you all your search results, directly to the right of the search box where you typed in hat, there's a drop down. And so at first it finds you, it sorts them in order of best match. You can choose other options. So I changed it to most popular. And that way you see what are the most popular hats out there. It's not just doing a match on your words.
Yep.
And that was really helpful because then you see what
There's
are
the
most
hot
people
right now.
just there's hot right now, most popular. There's a bunch of them. You can also sort on like date that they were published. So if you wanted to see newer ones, you can do all of that. So that's just a quick Ravelry tip if you're looking for a pattern for something and how to find ones that usually the most popular. If a lot of people are knitting it, then it's probably a pretty good pattern.
Usually,
So,
yeah. Or the mistakes have all been found.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So thanks, Joy, for that. Linda, and we don't know how to. We'll just do a blanket apology right now for names. It's Linda Ewell or Linda Ewell. She asked what shawl patterns were we wearing. Now she was referring to episode 13. And we didn't say during that episode, but I was wearing the Descent shawl, which is by Lisa Much, Northbound Knitting, and it was a black and teal
sparkle.
Yeah, and I don't think we didn't even hold them up and talk about them, so we'll have to do that again at some point. I had talked about it on a previous episode though.
So same with the one I was wearing.
And same with the one you were wearing.
Mine was just a plain garter triangle.
Yeah.
Increase in the middle twice and on either end, and it was all garter stitch.
So you just...
And it was like it was Serenity Garden or Zen Garden. It was by Zen Garden. Zen Yarn Garden.
Yeah.
But I think it was their
Serenity silk.
Yeah, Serenity
nice
silk.
yarn. Yeah.
And it was a beautiful yarn, and it's...
so you didn't even use a pattern for that. You just did a triangle
was,
construction and with the center spine.
I like my garter stitch.
Yeah. It was beautiful.
And it was beautiful with that yarn. So
okay.
Yeah, so that's what we were wearing.
Yeah, so sorry about that. We didn't talk about it before. Linda C commented, you are lucky to have each other. I want a knitting friend. So we want to mention...
First of all, we know.
we are very lucky that we found each other and we have become good friends because of knitting. And that's one of the reasons why we were doing this type of video in addition to our podcast. So that it just feels like you're having a virtual knit night with friends, and it gives you someone to visit with while you're knitting. But the Fiber Friends podcast, who are very good friends of ours now, again, like you can meet wonderful people through knitting. The Fiber Friends podcast, they have started a Facebook group called the Fiber Friends Friday Night Knit In. It's a closed group. You just have to click on the request to join and answer a few questions. They just want to make sure that...
questions are pretty straight.
Like, are you a knitter kind of thing? Yeah. And what they are doing, it's a Facebook group for... They've started Friday night. Now, it's not... It's like a virtual knit night, but it's basically knit wherever you are in your time zone Friday evening. But you can share on that group.
Yeah, I found a lot of people when I looked, they would put the start of the night, they would put what they were working on and what they took a picture. And then it was kind of neat to see because after a couple hours, they'd show their progress and whatnot. And people were chit-chatting about different things, right? And it was kind of neat.
Yeah. And so that's it. There's a lot of chatter back and forth, like people comment, people help each other. So that's a way to have community if you're somewhere where you aren't able to go out and physically meet with people. Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say is my husband came home the other Friday night and I couldn't figure out what was wrong with my phone. It was one of the first times they did it. And my phone was ping, 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 ping. I ended up shutting it off.
Well,
it looked like a blast. It looked really good.
And the nice thing too is that they try to have one of them or more than one of them do some live video on Facebook. Yep. So if we get this video up in time for tonight, and I'm going to try, I don't know if I will, sometime tonight, they are hoping to have Louise do a live video at 7 p.m. and then Adrian may come on later around 9 p.m.
Nice.
So they'll be doing live video, and it's nice because people comment. You can see the live comments, but because it's a closed group, it's only group members that can see it and comment, and so you don't get those kind of wild card comments that you can happen on YouTube.
I think those are so funny.
Sometimes they're not. So sometimes they're just offensive.
Some of them can be extremely offensive, but that's
I mean, some of them are funny, but everyone sees that. So
I always find it funny because you see people's face when they read it. They're kind of
like, oh.
What was that?
And everyone watching at the time can see it. Yeah. So that's just another community. Now, someone else mentioned in a different place that, Beck Diggity commented that there's a virtual knit night group on Facebook. She said it was started by a podcaster. I couldn't tell who, but there's a Facebook group called International Virtual Knit Nights.
Oh, and it's Zoom meetings.
IVKN. And they use Zoom meetings.
Zoom's pretty good because you can see everybody.
So it's a closed group. So if you join that group, they have in their information, it tells you they have designated 3 times a week, designated virtual knit.
Have you had a Zoom meeting?
No. But my understanding is, so there's a Zoom meeting app you need to download.
Yep. And
but then you are virtually knitting with everyone who's logged in at that time.
Well, what happens is when I have these for my PN.
Okay.
So when they do a meeting, basically the screen divides into grids.
So you can see other people.
So you can see everybody else knitting. And then the person, whoever is in charge of the meeting, can mute everybody. Okay. But if you want to say something, you unmute, you talk. Because part of the thing is, if you don't mute everybody, you hear everybody's kids screaming in the background.
10 times the background noise.
So it's really interesting. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
We'll have to check that out.
And their information on their about page for the Facebook group also says that, like, if you join the group, sometimes they will do other impromptu knit night times, but they do have some scheduled ones. So that's something else to check out. So thanks, Beck Diggity, for mentioning
that. That would look really cool. That would
be
a really good idea.
Isn't it? Yeah, so that's,
Well, while we're on Beck Diggity, why don't you answer that one?
Which one? Okay, Beck Diggity also asked, thanks for all the comments, by the way, and questions. Have we tried loom knitting? Do we want to say it together? Have we tried loom knitting? Lisa?
I've never tried it.
I haven't either.
No.
So I know that I've seen at Michael's. Okay, so we're talking different kinds of looms here. The knitting loom that are like the pegs with the hooks, like a lot of people can start out that way, or kids can start out that way.
Okay, I've never done that.
No, I haven't either. But Michael's has them, and they have different ones. There's actually a big one for doing a blanket, and it's in a kind of a S shape, so that way it's not like unmanageable, but you get twice as much length in a certain amount of distance. I have a friend that had one, and I was kind of looking at hers. And then there's also like no, it's weaving, isn't it, that I'm thinking of, like with the rigid head weaving. Yeah. I'm thinking of weaving, so not quite knitting. So I'm assuming that that's what you're referring to.
Here's one of the things that how you're talking about the little thing with the
peg,
hooks.
Yeah.
Well, that makes an I-cord.
Yeah, but there's
bigger ones, but these little ones make I-cords.
The little wee ones.
Well, this is how bad I am. Okay, I've never had one, but you can actually get one that cranks out I-cord.
And turns it for you. Oh, you know what? We have to be careful not to bump the table.
Sorry.
If we've given anyone motion sickness so far, sorry about that. We've got the iPad on a tripod on the table, and I keep forgetting to not bump the table.
But Yeah, so I use the crank to do I-cord.
That's a good idea.
It just, you crank it out. It's all over my Christmas tree at Christmas time.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Neat. I might have to borrow that if I ever need to make a long I-cord.
Sure thing.
Okay, so no, we have not tried loom knitting, but I think it's a neat way, especially for kids, like if kids want to get started. But it's not teaching you anything about traditional knitting mechanic or skills though. So, you know, you still need to learn to do that if you want to go beyond whatever that type of loom makes.
Okay.
The crafty chemist commented that she, I'm not sure, is finding, we were talking about my reviews of the Lika needles and just interchangeables in general. And so this person commented that they're finding the cords hard to wrangle. At the end of episode 3, I added, like right at the very end, I added a little video with a tip on how to straighten cords using a hot kettle or a hot pot. And it's about by running the cord like almost like you're sawing around the edge. And you just do it briefly, let it like straighten it as it cools, do it again. Don't leave it too long so it doesn't melt. And the other thing people commonly do is I just did this recently too. Fill up a bowl with fairly hot water, not boiling, but hot tap water. Put your cord in it, leave it for about 15 seconds, take it out and just sort of straighten it. And you may have to do it like a few times, but it'll get better with each time. And then the second tip would be to pick a cord that's an appropriate, if you have enough cords or an interchangeable set, pick a cord that's appropriate length for what you're knitting, just so that you don't have a ton of extra cord. So if you're knitting a shawl, like I'm doing one right now that's asymmetrical, I start with a smaller one. And then as it grows and starts getting really bunchy, then I can change to a slightly longer cord. But I don't start out with a great big long 40-inch cord for, you know, when it's a little tiny triangle. Because then you've got all this cord and no knitting. And as you add knitting to it, the weight of your knitting helps keep that cord
straight.
Yeah. So that would be my second tip. Do you have any other advice for that?
Just pretty much the ones you said. No,
yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
When they're twisty?
No.
So, but sometimes, depending which ones you get, like if you
because I'm not likely to, I won't change needles. I'll just start with a really big one.
Okay.
And that's just me.
Yeah. No, but again, that was just a tip for if it's really bothering
but if she finds them hard to wrangle, then yeah. But
Yeah. And then, like I said, as you get more knitting on that cord, it helps weigh it down and keep it
Well, it's just like this
controlled.
one I was knitting from my mom, and it's not like I have any choice but to do this size needle because there's 300 and something. I guess I could
right from the get-go.
But it was spiraled around each other, and as soon as I realized I was not twisted stitches, then I was good to go, and I didn't care whether it wrangled or not. But yeah, so it's personal.
Yeah, so hopefully that helps. Well, sometimes I do, but yeah, I usually will start with a smaller cord if I can, if I have it available. Rose Steve, we had talked about the little, you can't see it here, the little metal light bulb stitch markers. They found them in the sewing section
at Walmart.
Yeah. And sometimes, and I've heard other people do this, sometimes they'll put a little charm on it, so you make your own little stitch marker. You could put a bead, you could put whatever you want on them. So that was a great tip. I haven't seen them. Our Walmart here in Sarnia is adding, no, but they're adding sewing back in. They have sewing machines now.
Seriously?
Yes. They have notions.
I haven't been there in forever.
Yeah. So I didn't even think to look for that. But it's in the last 6 months they've been bringing the sewing back.
Oh, nice.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
And Peggy Davis, volume, can we do anything on our end?
So we've covered this in other episodes that...
I think I might start taking speech therapy classes.
Well, for this video, we have the camera a little further back. Yeah. And there is some adjustment I can do in the video editing software. So with the last Stitch With Us video, I actually did increase the volume, like post-recording.
Thank you.
And I'll test it again. It's just really difficult to get it perfect for everyone. And every podcaster uses different equipment, different editing software, different environment. So that's why, like there are podcasts I watch where their intro music blasts me out of the house, but then their speaking volume is perfectly fine. So I do have to go up and down with some of them. And sometimes, you know, it's just different days it can be different. We do
I think part of the thing is we do the best we can with what we have.
Yeah.
And we are by no means professionals.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's a big thing to remember when you do watch podcasts is a lot of these people, they're not professionals.
We do try, and I will pay more attention to that in the future post-recording for our regular podcasts and upping the volume. I haven't upped the volume on those in the past. I can do that though, and I'll take a look at that. Sometimes when we try and talk louder, it feels like we're shouting. And I feel like I'm straining my voice. Like this isn't my normal speaking voice because I'm really trying to project and talk loud. So we'll see what we can do, but we are trying, and we appreciate everyone's patience. And if you are having difficulty, there's just know that we're doing the best we can.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Okay, so Fiona, what is that? Kaya Ora?
Fiona, Kaya, or Kia Ora.
Okay. She wants to know what podcasts we listen to and watch. We pretty much have a list on Ravelry.
We have, so we've started a thread on Ravelry. If you use Ravelry and you join our group, where everyone can share podcasts. And
that's right.
In most of our previous episodes, we have talked, so anything that we always put up on the screen. So if there are podcasts that we are referring to, we pop it up on the screen. And there's probably been almost every episode we've talked about different ones. We don't always mention all the same ones if we've mentioned them before. So it doesn't mean that we've stopped watching them. It just means there are so many that now we can no longer list them all in a podcast and put them all up on the screen.
Whoops.
So in our last episode, we did mention a couple of newer ones. What?
I have a question. What is that?
Okay, so I was going to mention this. This is a new one that it's not a knitting. What?
Okay,
do you want me to talk about it?
But that says what it.
Yes, I'll tell you. So I watch the girls in the Yarn Cafe, Tristan and Christy, mother-daughter team.
Yeah.
Fantastic podcast.
I know who they are.
They're both yarn dyers, and I've been watching them for a long time. And they, probably a few months ago, they started talking about an audio podcast that they listen to called My Favorite Murder. And they love it. And they've actually, it has inspired a yarn line, like with different sayings. And, like they've named yarn after different sayings and things that happen on this podcast. So My Favorite Murder is an audio-only podcast. It's available on iTunes Podcasts or Apple Podcasts and Google Play. And it's two women who, they're comedians, but they started this podcast about 2 years ago, and they are true crime fanatics. Like they met up, they kind of got talking at a party and realized they both have this, obsession and passion with true crime stories. And they started a podcast where they talk about true crime stories. So there's a lot of humor in how they talk. They don't mock murder or try to make light of it, like they're, but they do talk about, each episode they'll talk about certain, notorious ones. They may be past, they may be current, serial murderers, whatever they may be. But they just sort of talk about the elements of it, and they say right off the hop that it's not a Forensic Files TV show. They're not,
it's for entertainment.
Right. They don't go through every single detail. They're not, always getting the facts exactly right, and that's not their intent. They just are having conversations about different true crime stories. So it's not for everyone. No, before you go in, if you do check it out, that they're comedians and they do, use a lot of humor, but not to make fun of murder or make light of it by any means. It's just they're having a discussion about it. And I just really like it. So I listen to it when I'm sewing. So it's just something new I've discovered. And I can tell you that if you've never gone into Apple Podcasts, like the audio.
Don't.
There are so many. It's amazing.
You could get lost there for days.
Absolutely. There are podcasts about anything. Anything you could think of, any topic.
Well,
they're good.
This one just came up, and it's Rebel Radio Force, Star Wars. I don't even know where it came from.
And so, people talking about stuff. Anything you have an interest in, there's probably a podcast. And if it's an Apple Podcasts, I would bet that almost all of them are also in Google Play. So you don't have to have an Apple device. You can go into Google Play and find the same one. So that's just a new one I've just started listening to, and I just find it really interesting. Shell Tate.
Hey, I know that name.
Shell Tate was one of our winners on one of our giveaways.
What Canadian events or sales do you want to attend?
All of them. So I think I did reply. Yeah, we try. We've mentioned on previous episodes that we do go to Woodstock.
Yes, that's one of our favorites.
We've only gone to the ones in southwestern Ontario.
Yeah.
So we don't like travel across Canada yet. If you don't live in Canada, airfare in Canada is not cheap. Like to go, you can go. Yeah, we can fly to Florida to Detroit for $100.
Yeah.
On a good sale, and it can cost me like $500 or $600 to go to the next province. So
yeah.
So we haven't gone to any outside of Ontario yet. However, in Ontario, we've gone to the Toronto Fiber Frolic.
Yeah.
Woodstock
Knitters
Fleece
Frolic.
Fest. Toronto Knitters Frolic.
Yeah.
Woodstock Fleece Fest.
Kitchener-Waterloo.
Knitters Fair.
We've been to that one numerous times.
So this is a good chance to talk about 2 new ones.
Oh, yeah.
So this year, there are 2 new ones we've heard about recently.
Actually, we just heard about that other one. So
Yeah.
There's 3.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if the other one's a new one. Okay, so first off, we'd heard about Kawartha in the Kawartha Lakes area.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, I didn't look up the exact name of the festival. But if you just search on Kawartha Fiber Festival, you'll find it. It is on June 9th. And they have a Facebook group and an Instagram account. And they are sharing on Facebook as they announce new vendors that will be there. And it looks like it's going to be fantastic. So we're hoping to go to that one. Mm-hmm. They have classes lined up as well.
Louise will be teaching and Adrian is
Yes, Louise is from the Fiber Friends podcast is going to be teaching. She's an excellent teacher. I think she's teaching 2 classes that day.
Did you read that when I wrote that on there?
What?
When I said, "Oh, who's teaching this class?"
And Adrian will be there with Old Oak Yarns, and there are just some amazing vendors lined up for that show so far. They're still going. You can buy tickets in advance online. Not that you need to. You save $1 if you do.
It's Kawartha Yarn and Fiber Festival.
There we go. And we'll talk about it more on our next episode because we have a little announcement about that.
Isn't he cute?
Totally.
Oh, you can't see him. Oh, you can kind of see him.
Looks like Dobby.
You know what? He does. I'll put it on our...
Yeah. So that's June 9th, Kawartha. And then there's a new one just announced that's going to be in Barrie.
Barrie, yeah.
On August 25th.
Mm-hmm.
And I just heard about it, so I don't even know too many details about it yet.
My mother sent me that one.
Yeah. Now, do you know the name of it? Did you find the name of that one?
Yeah. Just 2 seconds.
Okay. And then there's one, like, in a few weeks.
I'll put this one on our account as well.
Okay.
The Fiber Spirit to Barrie. Welcome to the Fiber Spirit to Barrie.
Fiber Spirit, Barrie's first festival dedicated to yarn, fiber, and all things related to knitting, crocheting, weaving, needle felting, and spinning at the Barrie Curling Club. We'll talk about that one again in the next upcoming episodes.
I'll also put it on our Instagram page.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah.
And then there's one in Peterborough on March 19th. So the end of
what that one is.
I had heard about that before because one of the dyers I follow is going there, I believe. But I don't know any details. It's March 19th. It's one day in Peterborough. Lisa's looking it up. So those are a few new ones and up and coming, like before we hit the fall festivals.
Fiber Festival.
If, you see if you can find it. If you're in Manitoba, I know that there is one in Winnipeg, and I think it's their 2nd or 3rd year. Maybe they're going into their 4th year this year. I don't know all the details on that, but when we hear about it again, we'll mention it. Again, Google's your best friend for finding these things. And we haven't gone to any in Michigan, but there's
quite a few in Michigan.
Yes, and there's a lot of yarn shops like within an hour's drive from us because we're right on the border. So we might want to explore that sometime in the future and do a little road trip. And
what's the date on the one in Kawartha? It's in June, right?
Kawartha's June 9th.
Okay.
Okay.
Peterborough Fiber Arts Festival is March 19th.
Okay.
Doesn't say.
Yeah. So those are the, in terms of Canadian, I'd say they're mostly Ontario. So so far these are all Ontario.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of other festivals across Canada.
We were hoping to go to maybe some fall ones this year, but I kind of kiboshed that.
I don't think we'll be going to Rhinebeck, like the New York Sheep and Wool Festival in Rhinebeck. Probably not. We don't have plans to go at this time, and you kind of do have to have plans ahead of time if you want accommodation. So
yeah,
odds are we're not going. We will someday.
Yeah.
Okay. Alyssa Zemlak asked, okay, how do you knit without looking at it? A lot of people ask this question. Hammett Creates also asked the same question.
Watch your elbows.
Basically, practice. So you mentioned how to do this on another podcast, didn't you?
I did. Basically, if you concentrate on your fingers and what your fingers are doing, you can do it. You can watch them, but if you feel it, your fingers do the exact same thing every single time. Every single time I feel the one stitch in my underneath my thumb, and my needle goes there and it rubs against my thumb. And if you concentrate on what you do each and every time, and then you can kind of close your eyes and do a couple.
Like try one stitch.
Yeah.
Try two once. Yeah.
Try
it with stocking stitch.
Yeah.
Like try it when you're just doing plain stocking stitch.
I can do stocking stitch, or I can do garter, or I can do purl. Like I can do ribbing.
Ribbing, sometimes the pearls I can tell it's not quite right. Yeah. I can't stop looking. I do glance down more often if I'm doing ribbing or doing purl. But basically, you can tell when you're doing it. You can feel like if something's not right.
You have to, and what you do is you realize you've made a mistake by the feel.
Yeah. So I would say start with stocking stitch with a heavier weight yarn, like a worsted. Even a sport or DK, but like fingering weight, it's so fine that your fingers.
It's not just
need
that
practice.
Either. It's not just like I've been knitting for.
You've been doing it for a long time. I have.
If you knit. The longer you knit, the more you get used to it, the more you realize what you're doing and how it feels and stuff. And yeah.
But you can usually tell when something's a muck. The only thing is I have occasionally dropped, especially with fingering weight. I sometimes have dropped a stitch. I usually notice eventually and hopefully not too far gone so that I can just pick it up. Or I can tell right away I've dropped a stitch because it just feels too loose. There's too much give.
It's funny because I can knit in the dark. When my husband drives in the dark, and I'll be knitting along and then it's like flick on the light, fix my mistake, flick it back off.
Yeah, because you can tell something's not right.
It just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah. How are you for time?
I'm good.
Okay, you can keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a few more questions. So Kimberly Bailey Murders asked, for the Knit Sister tube scarf, what length cable? 16 or 24? 16.
16.
I mean, unless I could...
My mom's doing a 24. It looks really nice.
Depends how many stitches you put on. So you can put more stitches than what the pattern calls for. But with fingering weight yarn, a 16 is perfect.
My mom did a 24 because she had that size needle.
Okay.
It looks amazing.
Does she have to magic loop, or is she...
No.
Did she do the same number of stitches?
No, she just basically added enough stitches so that they meet.
She just, because it doesn't matter. Your stitch count doesn't matter. As long as you have enough that you have, when you flatten it, you have a big enough scarf.
Yep.
So
hers is really wide. I think it's going to look really nice though.
Yeah. I mean, if you have too big of...
But I love big, 16, chunky scarves.
16 inch is the smallest. So that's going to be perfect. And if you have a bigger one...
I wouldn't do it 9.
No, you couldn't.
Well, they have the 9 inch.
I know, the soft needles.
Yeah,
it'd be way too small. You'd have it all scrunched up, like,
I don't like them.
Yeah, but if you have a bigger cord, you can magic loop, or put a few. Like if you use a 24 inch, it depends on your gauge. Depends on what.
I have to get my mom to take a picture of that because it looks really good.
Yeah. So I don't know if I answered it in her question, but. And I would imagine, I don't have the pattern in front of me, but I imagine it probably calls for a 16 inch. Okay. Yes. We already answered that one. So we opened up a Ravelry thread in our Ravelry group for, get to know us, ask us questions, and then we will answer them on future Knit With Us videos. So
is that one of the questions?
Yeah, that's Tracy from Bala.
Hi, Tracy from Bala.
So she asked us, what is your greatest accomplishment? Thanks, Tracy. Yeah. Don't ask the tough ones.
It's like a job interview.
Yeah.
What can you? I don't know if it's my greatest accomplishment. I think it depends because it changes, right? As your level of knowledge changes, your greatest accomplishment changes. Does that make sense?
Well, what did you interpret that as? Your greatest knitting accomplishment?
Yeah.
Oh, she was talking about life accomplishment because she talked about.
Oh,
she's learned to sail a boat.
Oh, good.
So her and her husband officially can captain. They can go to other countries and charter a boat and sail it themselves because they're certifiable. I haven't done that. Oh, if you need crew, especially the kind that can hold down the seats with the drink, yeah, that's me.
I can arrange your knitting.
So knitting wise, what's your greatest accomplishment?
I still love my fiddleheads. My fiddlehead mittens are still one of my favorite accomplishments. Like I remember finishing those thinking, wow, look what I did.
Yeah.
Right?
And like you said, it's hard to answer because at the time, probably the hoo-hoo shawl.
Or even like your first sweater, it's like, yay!
Yeah, right. So the hoo-hoo shawl would have been at the time, because it was probably the most complex, and it's not that complex, but at the time it was the most complex lace I had done. Since then, I would say there's a brioche hat, and we've never showed it because I used too heavy of a yarn, and it's way too big, and I need to tear it out and start over. But I forget what it's called. We'll have to mention it on a future episode. I think it's the flaming, something about flame in the title, flaming brioche hat. It's beautiful, and it's got a really neat, it's not just straight brioche, it's got like meandering pattern in it. So I didn't take a class or anything. I think I looked at a video that the designer had provided, but that was it. And so it was reading the pattern, reading the written instructions was how I figured it out. So, it was... if you make a mistake in that, it can be really tricky because it's not just straight lines.
I was just thinking.
Yeah. So, it's just that and I will redo it because it's beautiful and I love it. The only problem is my yarn is too heavy. I should have used fingering weight and I went up a weight and I need to, but I love the yarn that I have. So I'm going to have to find similar colors in a lighter weight.
Nice.
But I would
like to learn that.
What about it? Do you have an answer for in life? That's such a tough question to answer.
That's a hard question.
I don't feel like I have any magnificent accomplishments in life. I wouldn't call that an accomplishment. When I was 20, I took a year off in the middle of university and traveled and went to Australia for 6 months.
Yeah.
And at the time, it was very out of character for me because I wouldn't say I was terribly outgoing. Like even in my first 2 years of university, living in residence, I hung out with my friends, like from my hometown. We all were from rural Manitoba, northern Manitoba, and I mostly hung out with my hometown girls. And I didn't meet as many new people as some of my other friends did, and so it's not an accomplishment. It was that was a big step for me to go on.
That's still an accomplishment.
I went
a big
with
step.
I went with the group, so it was organized. And, they helped us make travel arrangements. And so I went with, a group of people all at the same time, but I knew none of them. And the first 2 days they put you up in a hotel and there were just all these, university aged kids trying to decide what they were going to do. And, I didn't even know, honestly, on a map, I didn't even, I knew where Sydney was and that's it. And there's people that were going to, buy a van, like a Scooby-Doo van and drive up the coast and go here. And other people, I didn't know. I didn't have a clue. So I kept changing my mind. But then there were a couple of girls I had met kind of on the plane and we'd kind of gotten to know each other. And we decided just to stay put in Sydney for a while till we got our bearings. And that's what we did. And we found jobs and found an apartment and
nice.
Had no furniture. I slept on the floor for 6 months. But actually, no, the first place we lived actually had beds. They were like little rental mini apartments, like almost like a dorm room.
Oh, yeah.
So it had beds. And a shared kitchen. So, it was just out of character for me. So
that's good though. That's an accomplishment.
But it was fantastic.
That is such an accomplishment.
Yeah, I got a job. I was an office temp. I actually worked at the same company the whole time. I didn't ever change, but it was a lot of fun and
good for you.
Yeah. And those girls that I did travel with, we stayed together the whole 6 months.
Oh, that's
and
good.
we stay in touch and they're lifelong friends. I mean, there's not, I don't know. Sorry, Tracy, I don't know. There's nothing really too terribly exciting I can say in that regard, but Not that I feel I haven't done anything with my life. Quite happy with my life. Just an average happy life.
Yeah.
Actually, moving to Sarnia was a big step for us.
Yeah,
because it happened
big.
really quick. Like, we weren't planning to move anywhere. It just happened really quick, where my husband one day said, he was working contract at the time, so he was traveling a lot, and he had just been, I didn't even know he was looking, and he had seen a job opening in his field. And he said, hey, there's a job in Sarnia. You want to move to Sarnia? And I'm like, where's Sarnia? Like, literally, did not know. I knew it was in Ontario, did not know where. So we kind of looked it up, and, you know, and I looked at the tourism info, and I'm like, oh, look at all that water. It's beautiful. And
welcome to
ARoy. Honestly, this lake on a good sunny day looks like you're in the Caribbean.
It's amazing when you go over right now and you see how dark it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just a very quick decision. He applied, and then he got a call for an interview, and I thought, okay, here we go. Like, I said, you can't go on the interview unless we're prepared to go.
Yep.
Right? So, yeah, it happened very fast. Like, within 4 months, we'd bought a house here, sold our house, and we're moving to Sarnia, when we had no plans to move anywhere. So, yeah, that was just a big change. And sometimes in life, you just have to go with it, right?
Yep.
And it was a little... I was working at the time for a company that was in Toronto, but the parent company was in Winnipeg. Mm-hmm. And so I worked with a team of people mostly in Toronto. So they were fine with me moving to Sarnia, and I worked from home for 2 years because they never saw me anyways. I was actually closer. But I teleworked most of the time in Winnipeg. So for me, it wasn't a big transition. And it was kind of nice moving here and being able to work from home. And, you know, being home with my son was younger then. And yeah. So, you know what? Just, go with it. Life hands you changes. Just don't be afraid to do new things. Dare. Because look what happened. I made a really good friend. Those were all the questions that I had jotted down, like more recent questions.
Yeah.
And just, is it time for me to change my color? Not quite.
Not yet.
I haven't dropped any stitches. Doing good. I do check once in a while, just in case.
Do you? I don't.
I do.
I always hope for the best. I don't check.
But yeah, just practice. Not that it's not a skill you have to have, but it is handy, especially if you're watching TV, you know, or for travel. It's nice to be able to
like it's scenery as well.
Have something, and it's something easy that you can take anywhere because you can multitask and knit while you watch a sport. Or while you're getting your hair done. Lisa can knit under the cape at the hairstylist.
Yeah, she laughs. What are you making under there? What are you making under there?
I know. So when I just got my hair cut, and Lisa said, "Oh, did you take your knitting?" And I said, "No, because I just got a cut, so I didn't want it full of hair, and I can't knit under the cape. I need to look a little more often than that. So I don't take it for cuts. Just if I'm getting a color." I think that's about it. So it is Friday afternoon, 3 o'clock right now. I'm going to do my best to get this
up and
edited.
For tonight?
There's not much editing to do, which is good. Only one. I think I'll probably just leave.
Can you make that big light that just came in there? What was that?
The sun came out. I'll probably leave the cat fight in because it wasn't too bad. And we'll try and get this up. So in between watching the live, if you join the Fiber Friends Friday night knit in group on Facebook. Yep. If you have not, I know we have a lot of mutual viewers.
Yeah.
If you have not checked out their podcast, we highly recommend it. I think if you enjoy watching ours, you will love watching theirs. There's 3 of them, so there is even more things to show, more variety. And they are there's a knitter, there's a pattern designer instructor, and there's a yarn dyer. And yeah. Oh, one other thing I do want to mention about them. Okay. Oh, totally related to that. So one of the Fiber Friends, Caroline, is also a fantastic cross stitcher. So is Adrienne, by the way. She was a stitcher for years.
They both are.
Yeah. So Caroline has a podcast channel, which stitchers refer to as a floss tube channel. So she has a floss tube channel, which is just a YouTube channel. And
You're moving the table.
I'm so sorry. And she does stitching videos, So kind of like our knitting podcast where she'll talk about stitching. She does.
Oh, I know what you're going to
She
mention.
does Stitch with Me videos where she actually, she has the camera on the stitching and she just talks and you can stitch along with her. And there's a fellow stitcher who she's become good friends with, virtually. His channel is Ginger Gerald. And so Ginger Gerald is a stitcher and thought he might want to learn to stitch. So Caroline, to knit.
Yeah.
So Caroline has made it her mission to teach Gerald to knit and has started a new video series teaching Gerald to knit.
Go Gerald.
Yeah.
Go Gerald. Go Gerald.
So, also fun to watch, and more fun is going to Gerald's channel because he is now putting up videos of him as
trying to learn.
Yeah, like he did the cast on and was watching Caroline's video and did the cast on, and he's doing great. So,
awesome.
Way to go, Gerald. It's going to be fun watching you on this journey, and you know what? You did your cast on in a couple rows. You're a knitter. Congratulations. That's what you're a knitter. Welcome to the club. So that's just a lot of fun. And Caroline also has a Friday night stitch in group, very similar to the Fiber Friends one. So there's a lot to do on Friday nights virtually. And so
virtually, you can be in your pajamas from your waist down.
That's the best part. And I would say if you're just joining, you might not want to try and stitch all 6 hours. There's no expectation you do that because you'll have a very sore wrist in the next morning. So it's just, they set a time frame and, there'll be live videos and stuff going on tonight. And it's just a lot of fun. And you know what, you do get to know people through that dialogue. And we've made a lot of new virtual friends through our podcast.
Yep.
And
our podcast,
we're
our
already
group,
seeing, we're already seeing people that aren't podcasters but are viewers that are connecting with other viewers as well.
Yeah.
And that's just great. So thank you for watching.
Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for the support. And we hope to have a regular podcast episode out to you. We're hoping next week. We've just had, there's been vacation, there's been sick cats, there's been sick people. So we'll hopefully have some FOs done for the next one and have more to show you for that. And we actually do have a few other little surprises planned for our next regular episode. No teasers, but there will be a few different things we have planned. So we hope you'll join us for that episode as well.
All right. See you soon.
Thanks for watching.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.